चाहे वह ऑनलाइन माध्यम हो, चाहे वह विज्ञापन हो, चाहे वह जनसंपर्क हो।
ऐसा मॉडल, ऐसा फ्लेक्सिबल ऑप्शन बाकी विश्वविद्यालयों के पास नहीं है।
यदि आपकी इन क्षेत्रों में रुचि है तो आइए और इग्नू के पत्रकारिता एवं जनसंचार में एमए, जो कि हिंदी माध्यम से चलाया जा रहा है, उसमें नामांकन लीजिए। आप सभी का स्वागत है।
Hello learners, welcome to this session. In this session today we will be talking about a very important topic, that is domestic hazardous waste. We will see that what comprises of domestic hazardous waste, from where does it come, and how can we scientifically manage it. So learners, this particular topic is related to the course MEV 015, that is Environmental Pollution Control and Management. And this course is a part of MSc Environmental Science program as well as MA in Environmental Studies program. So let us begin with what is domestic hazardous waste. As the name indicates, there are certain hazardous substances which are generated from our homes or the households. So, domestic hazardous waste includes any byproduct of manufacturing process, used discarded material or unused discarded material. Anything which has got such properties that it causes hazard to human health, environment, either alone or in combination with other elements of nature. That is domestic hazardous substance. And according to United States Environment Protection Agency, domestic hazardous waste comprises end-of-life materials which can catch fire, react, explode under certain circumstances, or which are corrosive or toxic in nature. And these are regulated under Hazardous and Other Waste Management and Transboundary Movement Rules 2016. So learners, in a nutshell, what we can conclude is that any substance which has got such properties, the physical, chemical and the biological properties are such that it causes harm to human health or poses threat to the quality of the environment, we call it as the domestic hazardous waste. So, according to Section 3 of Solid Waste Management Rules 2016, domestic hazardous waste includes discarded paint drums, pesticide cans, CFL bulbs, tube lights, expired medicines, broken mercury thermometers, used batteries, used needles, syringes, and contaminated gauze generated at household. So, according to this list, this is very much clear that the sanitary waste and the e-waste do not comprise of domestic hazardous waste. Earlier, we used to think that the sanitary waste or the electronic waste, which is generally generated from our homes also, but they have been put under separate category according to solid waste management rules, and domestic hazardous waste comprises of only those substances. For example, we have been just now seen that according to this, the tube lights and the CFL bulbs or the discarded batteries or the expired medicines, what we have in our homes, the cleaners, what we use in our homes. So all those products come under domestic hazardous waste. So what makes them hazardous? This is very important for us to understand. There are certain properties of domestic hazardous waste. They have certain characteristics by virtue of which they have become so toxic and hazardous that their use and also after use their discard, if it is done casually or if it is mixed with the municipal solid waste, then it can pose threat. So some of the properties are that they are highly corrosive, they are reactive, they are inflammable, they are very toxic, they are carcinogenic. So let us see one by one what are these properties. For example, corrosivity. Corrosivity means it indicates that these domestic hazardous substances have pH either below 4 or more than 12. That means it explains that they are highly acidic or alkaline in nature. Most of the bleach or the laundry chemicals which are being used, they are corrosive in nature. So in your homes also, when you come across such substances, you will find that they deteriorate when they come in contact with the surface, or by chance if they enter into our bodies, they cause a deterioration of our body parts, of various organs of the body. They are making harm. So this is one of the important property which distinguishes the hazardous substances from others. Similarly, they are highly reactive. Their reactivity is a problem. So by reactivity, it means that you must have seen that various times when, for example, you are using the drain cleaners or certain cleaners which you use in your homes, for example, oven cleaners we are using, or certain types of dyes and paints we are using. So they are highly reactive. That means that you can see some fumes coming out of it, or for example, when you get to have a touch of it, it may cause a burning sensation, or they may cause cut. They can release some gases out of it. So it means, and it indicates that they have the structure of such kinds that whenever they come in contact with the other elements, they immediately react. They give out some foreign elements. They bring out certain, maybe the change in the color or some sensation or some allergy or some cut. That type of thing has been noticed. So all the type of, especially bathroom cleaners and etc. which we use in our homes, they are highly reactive. And that is why we can see certain changes taking place whenever we are applying them without taking proper care. Another property is ignitability. That means they burn very quickly. They have the flash point below 60 degrees Celsius, and you must notice that, for example, the household insecticides or mosquito repellents, or in our homes you use various type of chemicals to get rid of the insects, the rodents, the mosquitoes, even the mosquito coil which we burn in our homes to get rid of the mosquitoes, they have this property that they get ignited very soon. Similarly, the acetone containing products, if we are using, for example, nail polish removers and other things, so they have the tendency of getting inflammable very soon. They catch the fire very soon. So that means they are very reactive, they are very toxic, they can enter into your bodies, they may cause short-term effects or long-term effects. You may have eye irritation if they enter into your eyes, or they may cause skin irritation, they may cause continuous seizing, they may cause some itching problem. That is the short-term effects. And long-term, if these type of chemicals are entering into your bodies over a long period of time, then there are chances that we get incidence of cancers, what we are observing these days. So they are very toxic, they are carcinogenic, and they are ecotoxic. So they pose threat to us in the form of provoking or cancer promoting substances that can occur, and they are also detrimental to the health of our ecosystems. They enter into the water bodies and damage the whole ecosystem fabric, aquatic organisms or the soil. So these are some of the broad properties of the domestic hazardous substances. Now learners, you must be curious to know that what are these and how you are surrounded. It's there in your household. We are using them every day. We come across these domestic hazardous substances most of the times, but we are not aware of what harms do they pose. So on the screen you can see the various types of examples given. For example, we have the household cleaners, the different type of cleaning solutions which we use in our homes for cleaning floor, for cleaning tiles, for cleaning bathroom, for cleaning our glass. Then we have automobile products like the different types of fuels or fuel additives or antifreeze, or painting supplies, as it is also mentioned in the definition itself, that the paint drums or the varnishes which is being used, it may be water-based paints or latex-based paints, oil-based paints. So different types of the paints, they come into this category. Household insecticides like herbicides or fungicide, or especially wood preservative also being used in our homes to get rid of the termites and all. They come into the domestic hazardous substances. Then we have flammable products like compressed gas cylinders, kerosene, diesel fuels, shoe polish, cigarette butts, they are a part of it. Indoor pesticides we use, for example, ant sprays, cockroach sprays, bug sprays, mosquito coils, moth repellents, pet care products what we are using, and miscellaneous substances, for example, mercury thermostats, thermometers, discarded PVC toys, and so on and so forth. So these are various substances. And the another screen also you can see, this is more elaborate list. We have expired medicines, needles, cotton, sugar test strips also is there. So this is the list is very long, and according to this list, if we see, then there are various examples. Now what is important for us to know is that what are the sources, from where are these domestic hazardous substances coming. So either it is coming from the manufacturing industries or of products which are generated as a byproducts, or it could be from the user end. For example, we have date expired pesticides, date expired medicines in our homes which we are not using, and unintentionally we are throwing it away along with the other waste which is being generated from our homes. So both the ways we must understand that it poses, when it is mixed with the other municipal waste, then the chemicals which were there in the hazardous substances, they get mixed up with the other maybe non-toxic substances also, and then the whole property or the characteristic of the waste completely changes. So altogether it becomes hazardous. Now, if you look at our scenario, how much it is generated? This is also a common question. We would like to know how much of the domestic waste is generated. So according to the recent studies, it has come that around 1600 to 6401 tons it is being generated daily, and it can range between 1% to 4% of municipal solid waste. So although it appears to be very meager amount, what is the special thing about domestic hazardous waste is that it appears to be generating at very, very less amount, 1% or 4%, 1 to 4% basically of MSW, but then it is so toxic that even at such low concentrations, there is a risk of health hazards to us. And in the last decade, it has been seen that Delhi, Mumbai, these big cities, there has been a 50% increase in the amount of domestic waste that is being generated from our homes. So it is something which is of a serious concern. So it is generated in a very less quantity and it poses threat, and it also is detrimental to our health, because there are various ways by which it can enter into human body. If you look into the routes of exposure, how we are exposed, so either by inhaling, or you may ingest it along with the food and chemicals which are already contaminated, or it can come from the direct touch like absorption. So for any chemical or toxic substances to pose threat to our health, we must understand that what is the exposure pathway, from where it is coming. For example, we as a user, we will be in touch, or we will be exposed to these chemicals mainly by inhaling. It is not going to, we are not going to eat that toxic substances. Indirectly, yes, if it is possible. And then there are certain waste workers who are working the job of waste segregation, collection, handlers. They are affected through different means. So there are various ways by which we are exposed to these harmful substances, and there are acute effects and there are chronic effects. There are acute effects in the form of short-term effects which are occurring, which can be remediated when the exposure is removed. But then there are chronic effects which are long term, which are generally observed after a very long period of time, when your body is exposed to that chemical over and over again. So improper disposal of hazardous waste is very common. It is thrown as a normal trash along with the other waste from the households or industries or other sectors. So if it gets mixed up with the trash, it is like it contaminates the groundwater. It leads to air pollution. We know that the leachate is generated. The leachate is a poisonous liquid, and it is harmful for the entire ecosystem health, and also it enters through the food chain into the human bodies also. So if it is on the land, if it is like lying as an open dump, or if it is just thrown away, maybe like a landfill, so it is exposed to all the different elements, and it is causing various types of pollution. If it enters into the drain, if you are allowing it to flow through the water bodies, then it pollutes the various lakes and rivers, and also the groundwater. So in every possible way it is harmful, and therefore the Swachh Bharat Mission 2.0, the next is to advocates for 4 stages of segregation. Earlier, we are aware of this segregating the waste into wet and dry. That is the biodegradable waste and the recyclable waste. But then the third category was introduced, which comprises of the sanitary waste, which has a red mark. And also now it is mandated to segregate the waste into 4 types, that is wet waste, dry waste, sanitary waste, and the domestic hazardous waste, because this category is becoming important nowadays, because the chemicals are there in our homes and they are mixed up, and it is posing a problem. So this domestic hazardous waste is given the color coding of black, and it mandates the separate collection, segregation, and for that every stakeholder must be aware of. So once it is properly segregated and collected, then we have to see that it is scientifically disposed of. What should we do? So landfills, which is particularly the sanitary landfill, which is most common, and in the sanitary landfill there is a hole or a trench which is being created, and in that the whole of the hazardous substances are dumped. There is a plastic liner so that the harmful liquid does not percolate inside the ground and does not enter the soil or the water body. The upper layer again comprises of the soil so that it is not carried away by wind, or stray animals are not coming. There are inlets, special pipes designated for the collection of the leachate separately. And also in the sanitary landfills there is a provision where the methane gas which is being generated is collected, and that can be used as an energy source. Similarly, the domestic hazardous waste can be incinerated also. That means it can be burnt at high temperature, high pressure, and we can get rid of huge volumes of the waste by this method. And also it can be co-composted. Co-composted means along with the routine compost that we are making, we can add to it certain identified components of the domestic hazardous waste so that it becomes solidified, it becomes stable, and it is non-toxic to the environment. So these are some of the measures also. It is very important. So at one end we have the scientific methodology, and there should be common hazardous waste treatment facilities which should come up more. Infrastructure development is very, very important. And apart from the measures which have been highlighted, encapsulation, solidification, these are also measures, and they depend upon the type of the waste which we are receiving at the sanitary landfill. But along the side, there is a need for 3 tiers of measures, like regulatory measures, operational measures, and behavioral measures. So regulatory measures means we need to have certain regulations in place, some rules, regulations, guidelines, and strict enforcement of these is very, very important. So when we know that the non-compliance of these rules will have a serious consequences either in the form of the penalties or some other measure, then we can see that we are able to manage the domestic hazardous waste properly. We should have an EPR policy in place for the domestic waste also. Likewise, operational measures are very important. There should be provision of the dustbins. We should be able to segregate it properly. It should be properly collected. It should be transported very carefully. The whole infrastructure is very, very important in this regard. So when we say that we need to have common hazardous waste treatment facility, that is very important. If we do not have such facilities around, then we cannot think of achieving this type of objectives. And behavioral. Public participation and awareness of the people is very, very important in this regard. How much we are aware of the threats of the domestic hazardous waste, from where are they generated, how can we minimize their use, that is also very important. But we have certain challenges in this regard. We don't have data. That is purely based on estimates. What we are estimating, 1%, 4%, it is all estimation. There is no data proper. There are gaps in the existing regulation. Source segregation has not been that effective. There is no proper collection. There is no disposal mechanism. And lack of finances or funds plays a huge bottleneck in the management of domestic hazardous waste, because we don't know from how it should be separately collected. What way does it make it to the facility? How we have to ensure that the routes are designed properly and it is able to channelize in such a way that we are able to dispose it properly. So this is very important, that we have challenges, but through the measures which we have discussed now, we can think of addressing some of the challenges. We can have certain mechanisms in place by which we can address 1 or 2 challenges, and that will make the path easier towards effective management of the domestic hazardous waste. So what we can do is that we can buy products wisely. Many of the consumers are not aware that what they are getting, what chemicals are they purchasing for the simple task which could have been done through organic methods or through our own methods which we have been practicing years before. So nowadays we use various types of cleaning fluids, cleaning agents we are using. They are full of the chemicals. So why not go for something which can be done through our homes, what we have been doing since our previous times. And even if we are purchasing these products, if it is a need, then it is important for us to store the hazardous substances properly so that it does not mix with other type of the waste. That type of mechanism is very, very essential. So we as the consumers of these products, we must know what we are purchasing. Have we ever made an effort to see that what the label of these products indicate? Most of the times the ingredients are written, but we do not know what are the chemical properties or what hazards do they have. So if we do not have such type of information, are we not aware about the threats? We don't know what the first aid is required if at all we get accidents, if at all our finger burns or if we have a cut. We don't know. Simply what is written is that keep away from the reach of the children. That is a simple line which is written on the toxic or the hazardous substances. Apart from that, we need to know more. So we are not aware, the language is scientific, which the layman does not understand. There are misleading terms which are not clear, and the incorrect medical advice which is given on most of the products. So in this session, we have learnt about what is domestic hazardous waste, how and what are the sources from where it is coming, and most importantly, how should we manage and scientifically dispose it so that it does not cause environmental pollution, it does not lead to any hazard to the aquatic life, it does not contaminate the air, the soil, and lastly, it does not pose threat to our own health, because we are using these products for our own benefit in some way or the other. But on the other way, if it ends up in our health, if it costs our health, maybe short term, maybe long term, then it is not at all advisable to use it. Thank you so much.